And so the things he's doing, like if you recognize when they came and captured the president and first lady of Venezuela,
Yeah.
he said that this is the Monroe Doctrine. That's an extension of what was called the Monroe Doctrine, right? Yeah. And that they were saying that everything in the Western Hemisphere that white settlers control. Prior to that, even things like fears, because you mentioned that. So sometimes, and I knew I haven't overcome all my fears. Some I have as a kid, I won't even mention. You know, I did silly stuff like trying to sell weed. I wasn't good at it. You know, things of that nature. Particularly after Gasol got there. I never told. I met Kobe.
Really?
I met Kobe. I'll show you the picture later.
What's up, y'all? We back here with the second episode of the Undeniable Podcast with your boy Kieran. Today we join here with someone like family to me. Our first guest on the podcast, Brother Akinyele Umoja, the former department chair of the African American Studies at Georgia State University, author of books We Will Shoot Back, co-editor of the memoirs of Robert and Mabel Williams, and also co-editor of the Black Power Encyclopedia, as well as the co-founder of the New African People's Organization and the Malcolm X grassroots movement. How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing well. How you
doing? Doing good. Today, I do got some questions for you, but I want to kind of shine you in a different light, you know, maybe that you haven't been in before, and get into your story and your upbringing. So, yeah, where did it all start off from you? I know we both LA.
Yeah, I was born in LA, born in 1954, Los Angeles. In fact, my family, I was born there, but my family moved to Arizona like 2 weeks after I was born. We were back in Compton by the time I was 6. I went to first grade in Compton, California, and then, you know, stayed in Compton schools until I was 18. Then I went to Enterprise Junior High, Compton High. Yep. But I grew up during an amazing time that impacted my life. And then my wife, Aminata Umoja, and that time, during that period of time, you mentioned, helped found the New African People's Organization. Right. We were both co-founders of that organization, and we volunteered to move here to Atlanta to get that movement started and going here in the Atlanta area. So things we were doing like the New African Scouts, the Malcolm X Festival, we were all building those particular parts of our organization. And so her starting the Kilombo Academic and Cultural Institute was something that grew out of some of the work we were doing here in Atlanta during that time.
Right. So my bad to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So obviously me and you are, you know, we connected. Well, first of all, we both big Lakers fans.
Right.
You know, best team in the league from LA. And obviously you always someone that always check in on me, always send me a message. Even through my hard times, I'm always getting a text from Baba AK. So we always been connected. Like I said on the first episode, when I came out here, I went to a school called Kilombo. A lot of people don't know about that school. So Kilombo Academic and Cultural Institute basically was a school that your wife started.
Right.
And it was a school that impacted me coming up because all I was learning about was African American people, and the truth and the way we fought, and we were resilient. Right. And, for me, that 100% changed my mentality coming up. And yeah, for you, you gotta get into like what you felt was like the purpose and what you wanted to accomplish and how you supported her and, you know, went about that with the school.
Oh, well, actually, the purpose, Aminata, when I met her, she was actually, I met her, we had a center in Los Angeles, and it was the Malcolm X Center for Self-Determination. And she was a part of an African dance group, and they needed a place to practice. And so we let them come in free of charge. I opened the space for them, and that's how I met her. But then she saw a flyer we had. We had a program on independent African or Black education. She came to that program, and I decided I would take her out on a date after that.
Okay.
But yeah, well, then she was teaching in the Los Angeles Unified School District at that time. And so we moved down here to Atlanta. She was teaching Atlanta public schools. And then we also formed the New African Scout organization, as I mentioned. And she really felt like, number one, she felt the environment she was teaching in public schools was, use her language, toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And she also recognized that a lot of our students weren't being prepared in the public school system. And she wanted to do something that was more fulfilling for her, but also in the students that she had could prepare them not only as conscious people, but, you know, just be effective in terms of reading, mathematics, science, just opening the door for them, right?
Right.
You know, your mom was a math teacher there.
Right.
And so she decided, you know, that she could no longer, you know, be happy teaching public school system and seeing, you know, which in many ways is kind of genocidal against our people. Because when you talk about one element of genocide is you know, that we oftentimes think of it just as straight physically killing people, but if it's taking you away from your identity, that's another way of killing you.
Right.
And so she wanted to provide an education that gave our students knowledge of who they were, but also the skills to be successful in life. So I remember you, one of the times I saw you after a while was at Brother Kokai's homegoing. You know, he fortunately was killed in an accident, and he was one of our best students, and I always saw he had potential for teaching. He decided to go get a master's in education, and I was always thinking, he was advised by someone else to do that. I said, man, he'd be better as a teacher than a historian, because I could see he was good at working with young people.
Right. No,
and he was passionate. He would do the extra things with young people, like you said, checking on folks. And
how much is a penny worth?
1 cent.
You got one? Jordan is really good at this game.
Yes.
All right, back outside.
Proceeding with love as opposed to did you get your work done?
Yeah,
you know?
I was just want to say I feel like he when I can remember, I feel like he went out of his way to make sure I was good or anybody else was good.
Right.
And a lot of days I think he stayed after school. Obviously he had his own kids there.
Oh yeah.
But he definitely, you know, would make a big effort to help, you know, impact our lives.
Man, you could see at his homegoing, it was so many. Because he was working with students in the South Atlanta or South Fulton County area, and just hundreds of them came to his homegoing. They had buses that came in Augusta for a 2-hour trip just to be there. So he was well loved, and so, but that kind of person captures the spirit of what Aminata was hoping to do with the school, and she does with the school, and what now my daughter Tashi and the other staff members there do in terms, and what your mom did when she was there. It's just like trying to show love and concern, like it was a family situation, not just okay, we see you, bye, get out, get the hell out of here.
I was more than that. Yeah, I do want to say, like, for sure he mentioned more than just the school did more than just like teaching us about our roots and the truth, but like I remember when I was there, I definitely was reading like probably 3 grade levels above. That definitely went into me having a 4.0 GPA through high school because I was just working hard in Kilombo.
Right.
They definitely gave me like a sense of confidence and pushed my like learning levels and like challenged me to do higher grade stuff. So
right on,
for sure. So I do want to kind of like change the conversation. It comes in the same boat, but on the first episode I spoke about me and my cancer journey and going through chemo, and I spoke about a story where like the first 6 months, me in the hospital, I was never emotional. And it was one day I was having a bad day, and I ended up like being in the mirror, like why me? Why did this happen to me? And in that same moment, like where I was questioning everything, and I was feeling like, oh, dang, I'm going through all this. I started to feel like this was happening for a reason. And my purpose was to overcome this and go on and inspire people and keep going to my goals. So I want to ask you, like, if you ever had any, moments like that, or even just when I think of you, like a lot of people are like scared of people's opinions. They're scared of like, what people might think. And you started so many different things, and you've always been a speaker of the truth. And a lot of times people are scared to kind of do that. So I feel like, first of all, if you've ever had any moments where you going through tough times and then it's push you towards your destiny. Also, there's how you are about like being unapologetic and speaking on what you believe, because a lot of people are afraid of that.
I think one is, I'm 71 years old, and I think you mentioned destiny. I think many African faith systems is believed that we make a pact with the Creator before we come here, but once we go and arrive and are born, we forget what that pact was, and that pact is basically your destiny. Just living every day, you're always confronted with obstacles and challenges. Like you mentioned, illness. Illness can be a challenge. You can have an accident, deaths, people who are around you. All of these things can provide challenges. Human beings are confronted with challenges every day, and certainly I have had them, have some today. You know what I mean? So, but I think that's part of the journey has to be overcoming with those challenges that are inevitable. Nobody goes without any challenges, and nobody's perfect either. And at the same time, try to challenge ourselves to overcome negative things, even things like fears, because you mentioned that. So sometimes, and I knew I haven't overcome all my fears. Some I have as a kid, I won't even mention them. But just try to just pray that you overcome them. I know one of the biggest challenges I ever had was when I was working on my dissertation, and I had already had a family at that point. So sometimes it was a challenge to try to stay.
My bad, what's a dissertation?
Dissertation for those people, and I have a PhD. So the dissertation in many of the fields is a study that you have to do over a sustained period of time. It's not like a paper you do overnight and turn in, but over years, I have to engage in a study that demonstrates that I'm qualified to be called doctor. Some people call me Dr. Umoja. So to get that rank as a doctor or a PhD, a professor, I have to put in a certain amount of work and demonstrate that I could do that work over a sustained period of time. And, dissertation is the product. It's like a book, but it's a study that one has to do. So in doing that, I stopped teaching in a lot of public schools to go to school. And so there are certain periods of time, because I'm not, even though I went to Emory, they were giving me money. It wasn't what I was making in a lot of public schools. And then I had children, and I was married, so I wasn't in this by myself.
Right.
And so sometimes I was like, man, should I be doing all this? Should I stay in the game, or should I just go back and get my old job back? But I had to, really pray and meditate and believe that what I was doing was going to be helpful, not only to me, but my family, and it did.
So you kind of took a risk in a way.
I took a very risk, and risks are important. And sometimes you got to take a risk.
Right.
We want to achieve anything in terms of progress. Risks are important at certain points. You have to measure it though, because sometimes, like we said, anything out of balance could be a problem. You risk all the time, and you put everybody else in jeopardy.
Right,
so you have to be very calculated, and but risks are very important in life. You got to do them sometime. I had to take a risk, and what people would say, bet on myself. Bet on myself but that means then I had to be reliable. I had to study. I was taking this risk that was impacting my family and everybody's sacrifice. Sometimes I was studying, so I couldn't do all my household responsibilities. So people had to take on some of my household responsibilities. We were lacking, didn't have as much money. My mother-in-law was living with us at the time. She kicked in additional money for us. So people sacrificed for me to achieve that. But then everybody benefited from it. I didn't say, I did this on my own, because I did without their support. Now I could have been irresponsible and not recognize the support everybody gave me. But I did have that support to achieve that for us, not just for me.
Right. So I want to I know we, a little short on time today. I want to kind of ask a different question. So something I've been thinking about, it's the beginning of March.
Right.
And a lot of stuff in the news has been about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And something I was just thinking about is like a lot of the decisions Trump, is making today won't affect him. Now, I'm not sure, but, it's a chance that he won't be here in 10, 15 years, but he's making a lot of choices that, will affect the people here today and are starting stuff that's going to keep trickling on and affecting our communities, even worldwide. Like, I used to live in Dubai. Our brothers in Dubai could see the bombs in the sky, like, which is crazy. So how do you feel like, what's your thought about when it comes to government, politics, Trump, and all the decisions he's been making?
Well, one is about Trump and the other is about this. I say it's an empire we live in. Why do I say it's an empire? Because the land we live on was originally the land of the First Nations, some of us call or Indians or Native Americans, whatever designation you want to call them, but it was their territory. And white settlers came and took their territory. They enslaved our people. We were a captive people, and we were brought here to this continent. Not only that, but if you look at the continental United States, a good portion of it was originally Mexico. Then another part of, not the continental United States, but the empires, Puerto Rico, Alaska, Hawaii, all were different territories. Alaska was land of another indigenous people, Eskimos. Hawaii was the Hawaiian, Native Hawaiians. And so it's an empire. And so my feeling is ultimately all of those peoples should have the right to govern themselves, to have some form of self-determination. And I think reparations are due to all of us, particularly, the African people and other indigenous nations. So that's to start with. Mm-hmm. That's my basic perspective. In terms of Trump is a part of that white settler legacy, or complements that as they talked about the manifest destiny that when they came and settled in 13 original colonies, at least the Anglo ones did, English descendants, they conquered the rest of the continental United States and, stole it from the indigenous people. But then looking further south, they wanted to control that. So when you look at things like how Haitian people live, and Haiti in 1915 was occupied by the United States. And even prior to that, and I know I'm talking a lot of history, but prior to that, Haiti, was the first Black republic in the Western Hemisphere, really in the world. And but when they won their independence from the French through gunboat diplomacy, which Trump is using now in Iran, and it was using in Venezuela, surrounded Haiti and demanded that Haiti pay billions, what now would be billions of dollars in gold to France. That's impoverished Haiti, left it in an impoverished position. When the United States occupied Haiti in 1915, they made sure that ransom that they had to pay France was paid. Then they've done other things, trying to starve people, Cuba, starving people, Venezuela. One of the reasons that, you have the immigration issue today is because of them trying to starve Venezuela. Is the most oil-rich country in the world.
Really?
Yeah, Venezuela is. Nigeria is a close second. So when we look at what Trump's policies is an extension of this white settlerism, and he's just the more extreme of it. And so that's what this whole motion to try to move on the so-called immigrants, many of whom are indigenous people, United States and Trump, the United States has a major role in. Of course, Trump is also, we must note, is, we had a recent thing of him trying to depict the Obamas as apes, so it shows he's linked to white racists. I know some people say, well, are we saying you're racist if you voted for Trump? Yes, you are, because he's given us several indications that he's racist. And so if you ignored that to vote for this man, and he clearly lied to him anyway, because he told many white Republicans, America first. He wasn't going to be concerned about starting wars in all these places. Just was it this year he bombed 7 countries? I saw that on the meme. So, but I know he at least bombed Venezuela, he bombed Nigeria, he bombed Iran. You know what I mean? Syria.
Yeah.
So I mean, so all of these places,
right.
He's been actively engaged in terrorism, really, and so he's really a war criminal because even under the laws of the United States, he hasn't asked for permission to do these wars. The president's supposed to ask Congress, so he's violated United States law. But we knew he was a criminal when he went in, right?
Yeah.
He violated their laws. Even we're in Georgia, election here in Georgia, or 2020 when he lost. He tried to get the Georgia Secretary of State to manufacture some more votes so he can win that election. So he's definitely a criminal. He's a war criminal. He's a criminal by domestic and by international law. And it's just should be embarrassment to all Americans that he functions in a way that he functions.
Right.
But ultimately I believe our people need to be self-determining. We have the right to govern ourselves. And we should form a different type of system in terms of how we deal with each other and how we deal with other human beings.
Man, you just gave me a lot of knowledge, man. You gave us a lot of knowledge. I'm gonna have to watch this back and do my research on it.
Particularly after Gasol got there. I never told. I met Kobe.
Really?
I met Kobe. I'll show you the picture later. Baba Ahmed Obafemi, who's now ancestor, he couldn't go to the game. His son is Shaka Zulu, who was managing Ludacris. And
okay. Shaka Zulu, I think I met him at a Clark.
Yeah.
At Clark, what's it called? The homecoming.
Yeah, he was a big guy over Clark.
Mm.
Ahmed couldn't go, and he said, "You and Chinoa go to the game." So we went to the game, and went to the game. Beforehand, they were warming up, and we walked down there, and Kobe yells over at Shaka, and I said, "Damn, you know Kobe like that?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Y'all got a camera?" He said. So after the game, and Kobe had just broke his finger the night before, so after the game, he couldn't even shake our hand. And I ain't gonna lie, I embarrassed myself. I was like, when I saw him, I felt real shy and starstruck. But so that's something you don't know.
No, that's Kobe.
I embarrassed myself with him. But here's what he said, because prior to that, he was asking to be traded.
What is it? What year is it?
This is what was the year they lost to the Celtics? First 2008, 2007, 8. He was asking to be traded. But then even before they got Paul Gasol, I remember watching the first game of the year. They were playing maybe the Phoenix Suns, and Andrew Bynum was playing great. The whole team played great. It looked like this team going to be good. I think Bynum injured himself, and that's when they traded for Gasol. And so, but we saw Kobe. It was right after they traded for Gasol, and Shaka asked Kobe, he said, "Everything all right?" He said, "I'm good now. I got some guns. I got some weapons."
You got some people.
And he had Lamar Odom.
And then the next year he won, right?
Yeah, they won in 09. They won 10. Yeah. And so, but we saw him at that game. Kobe, I think, hit the last shot. They lost the game, but again, his finger was broken.
So he was playing with a broken finger.
Playing with a broken finger. Like I said, he couldn't even shake our hand.
Jeez.
It was all wrapped up.
Yeah, that's Kobe.
It was him. So you see now in the days of what you call load management and all that. No. So that team was a good team. And then the year after that, they got Ron Artest, or Medal of World Peace. So and because they did lose to the Celtics. I think losing to the Celtics in 08, the Celtics was more physical team, more of a team. Yeah. Lakers had to mature. And I think even they didn't have anybody could hold Paul Pierce, who was more of a physical 3.
But you saying like Ron Artest changed that?
He changed it. Yeah, he kind of because he was one of the best. He's one of the best defensive players historically. You know, he should be a Hall of Famer in my estimation, but because of the
antics, all that other stuff.
Well, the whole thing that happened with Detroit when he
get the fight.
Yeah, the Malice in the Palace. Yeah, so he might not get it because of that, but he deserves it. You know, he got Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times, and you know, but the Malice in the Palace, he has his ring, and you know, he was a solid player in college. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he should. To me, in my estimation, he should be in there. If others are in there, he should definitely be in there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, I had to ask about our Lakers. Man.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate that.
Best team ever in the league, Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
To end off, I'm ending off on a little more serious note. I just want to ask you. You know, now we have a lot of people, or really, as long as our country's been going, African American people. You want to play sports, you want to get into entertainment, or whatever it is. Now, you know, a lot of people going to trade school. There's a lot of different paths you can take. But what do you feel like is the best advice you can give for people or young African Americans or really anybody, regardless of what path they take from your experience? 71 years, which is a blessing.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
I would say this is whatever you do, you got to, well, two things. One level, you got to strive for excellence, but then you got to also find a team. You got to find other people who could complement you, working with you on a variety of levels, whether that's family, whether it's like your neighborhood, your business, whatever it is. You got to find people you could work with, and we could cooperate and build together.
And let me ask you something about that. Like, I feel like a lot of people, obviously you know, you're speaking that from your experience, and a lot of people feel like they can do stuff, they can do everything by themselves. Like, why do you feel like having a team is a better way to go about it?
Well, again, you prepare yourself for excellence. I don't know if you remember when Kilombo, y'all did the Umoja Circle.
Yeah.
And for those the audience doesn't know, you know, they would begin their meetings in the morning, and I got this from the group I grew up in, the House of Umoja, where I get my last name from. It's an African society. And so, and we would form in our meetings, particularly our martial arts classes, which I most feel like we did it. We would be in a circle, and in a circle we would say that each person, we're as strong as our weakest link. So we had to have each other's backs. So when I mean by a team, you need somebody that has your back. You need somebody who could talk to you about your faults, who can encourage you at certain times. If you need some dollars, could loan you some money, you know, whatever, you can have support. And at the same time, we only as strong as you gonna be in there. You know, the Celtics, the year they beat the Lakers, one of the ways they used to get me is they say Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because you are. That we are a collective, we're a body, and I'm strong if you're strong. If you're weak, I'm gonna try to lift you up. And so the goal of the thing I think we need to be about is, again, try to be as excellent as we can and make sure we can bring something to the table. But we got to have support. You're stronger if you got somebody to support you. You know, you're stronger if you got somebody to cheer you on. You know, we talked about sometimes feeling low. Somebody help pick you up. You know, we're stronger when we have that. Those who say just about rugged individualism, they all got a team. That's something I think they sell to the rest of us. You know, now sometimes their team is just they're pimping a bunch of people and they're using a bunch of people. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about we supporting each other and looking out for each other. And so I think that's the way that we can be more successful as a group and as a people. If our group is strong, we're we should be strong if we have the right type of principles.
Right.
And so that's
your advice.
that's what I believe. That's my advice.
Y'all hear that, man? Get y'all a team. Don't try to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
And there are teams out there. Sometimes it's a matter of choosing the right one.
Yeah, some people pick the wrong team.
To make sure you know, be a free agent. Don't just get drafted by somebody gonna pimp you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That about wraps it up. You know, we talked about a good amount of stuff, man. You get a lot of knowledge. I just knew, you know, when I was thinking about my guest, I was like, you know, I thought of your name and I was like, it's a no-brainer. You know,
well, I'm honored to be the first one.
First guest, you know, this podcast is gonna be a real big. So, like, it's, you know, we started off well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, y'all if y'all, you know, like this type of content, y'all like the video, share, subscribe. You got anything you wanna?
No, just peace to everybody. Good luck. Be blessed. Continue to listen to this podcast. So you got ideas, feed them to Brother Quran.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'll entertain your idea. And who knows, maybe some of y'all be on it.
Yes, sir. That's what I told him. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Love.